In my last video, I talked about the iCamper BDV, the stuff I liked and the stuff I didn't like about it. And I ended that video off with saying that I wanted to take you guys along with me in my photography trip. So what I wanted to do was set the foundation of this channel, which was to cover all of my camera gear along with my 4Runner and my whole camping setup. Now that I have that laid out, I feel like it's a good time to take you guys along with me on these trips. I explored the PNW quite a bit, from national parks to waterfalls, mountains, lakes, you name it, odd stuff. And I struggled to find a place where I wanted to start off this channel and start off by taking you guys along with me. So I thought it was appropriate to start from the very beginning. And for me, the beginning is the Oregon coast.
I was searching for an open door. I was looking for a peace of mind. It's a feeling that I tend to get.
So here's the context and backstory of what the Oregon coast means to me. So I moved from Alaska to Washington back in 2017. I went to school, graduated, got a job, and all that stuff. In my spare time, I wanted to go out and explore. I wanted to go on hikes and all that stuff. Every now and then I had friends and family come and visit, and so I was a little inclined to get to know the area, find places to eat, find things to do. So as time went on, I found myself being out in the wild a lot more rather than in the city. I mean, coming from Alaska, it felt pretty appropriate to just be out in the wild a lot more. Fast forward a little bit, the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, it gave us all a lot more time. Everyone was inside a lot more. Everyone wanted to be outside due to just having the whole lockdown and whatnot. So at the same time of that happening, I wanted to pick up a new hobby / a new skill as well. And so I picked up photography. The more wilderness I saw, the more I wanted to be out in the wild. So one weekend, I decided to take a trip down to the Oregon coast, just with the sole purpose of taking photos. So I've always heard that was a great place to visit. I also heard that if I were ever to get a chance to take Highway 1, you should do it. And yeah, it did not disappoint. And I'm not trying to overhype the Oregon coast or anything, but to me, this was something I've never seen before. I mean, coming from Alaska, I've never seen people swim out in the ocean. I've never seen people go surfing or anything. And so this was all brand new to me, as well as this was my very first solo trip. So I was in kind of a state of mind of just wanting to explore. If I wanted to do things on my own, I could go do it without, asking a group of people if they were down or not. So it really set the tone for how I did all my other trips going forward. Back to today, this is how I would go about spending my weekend at the Oregon coast. And hopefully you guys can get some sort of inspiration out of it, as well as a lot of places to check out if you've never been to the Oregon coast. So the first spot of the coast, technically when I first started, I was still in Washington, and the first spot I went to was at Cape Disappointment. It's a really cool spot and a really, really cool composition where the lighthouse is in the background and then you have the waves crashing. But we're at a place that's a little farther out in Oregon. It's one of my more favorite spots. It's called the Wreckage of Peter Iredale. What I found most unique about this spot is that during sunset, the lights go through the wreckage and the waves kind of crash along with it. And so it creates this really cool composition along with the golden hour light. It's arguably one of my favorite shots that I've ever taken. Fun fact, this is actually where I broke my tripod, which I mentioned in the video when I went over my gear. Peak Design actually just replaced one of the legs there. Long story short, a bunch of sand got into the legs and I just couldn't really use it anymore. So we're starting off this trip here. I'll show you guys around. One of the cool things about this area too is that you can drive on it, which is what I'm doing right now. You can drive up to the Shipwreck, just not today because it's extremely high tide, but you can sit on top of the sand mounds or whatever I'm on and just admire it. And if you have a telephoto lens, it actually might be the perfect spot to do that. So yeah, that's what I'm here. Show you guys around. So this is the sand mound I was talking about where you can drive on. Normally if it's low tide, you can drive all the way down there, but unfortunately it's high tide right now. But yeah, this is the view from it. We just left Astoria. I went to go get gas. Going down south of the Oregon coast is arguably one of my favorite spots, which is Canon Beach. And I mean, it's a lot of people's favorite spots. Canon Beach is super nice. I mean, it's popular for a reason. There's a really cool state park that's right next to Canon Beach called Ecola State Park. You get a really nice view of the Haystack Rock over there in Canon Beach along with the other surrounding rocks. So I'll show you that in a bit. There's also a lighthouse. I don't know if you guys know this, but Tillamook Lighthouse is actually right around the corner of the park. And so you can get a nice view of that as well. But yeah, let's check out the view. So what I would normally do right now is try to find camp. Fortunately, the sun's going down and it's raining quite a bit, so I'm gonna pass on finding camp and just do some car camping along the coast. And it's actually probably what you would want to do when you're camping on the coast. That way you can wake up with the ocean in front of you. I am gonna pass the Tillamook Creamery, and I do know they have really good sandwiches and good pizza, so I'm gonna go grab some food there and then continue along the Oregon coast. So this is the hot sausage. It's basically a sausage pizza with honey inside it. So yeah. All right, so we made it to Devil's Punch Bowl, and I was hoping that we'd get a really nice sunset, but probably isn't gonna happen. I mean, I kind of knew that coming in here. It was expected, but let me show you why I really like this place. As for camping, normally I would like to go out in the mountains and find camp somewhere, but it's gonna get dark soon. It's about 4 o'clock and sunsets at 4:30, and so I'm probably gonna find either a rest stop or some sort of pull-out area that I can find right around the corner. But yeah, let's check it out. So after Devil's Punch Bowl, I found a parking lot with no overnight parking signs, and this is the perfect spot. There's only me and 2 other people in this parking lot, and this is the view. This is exactly what you want. You want a ocean view when you go to sleep and when you wake up. I guess one other thing I don't feel like a lot of people talk about when they live on a road like this is that limiting your water intake is it's not exactly difficult, but you don't want to go to sleep at night when there's not a bathroom nearby drinking a ton of water. So there are days where you gotta limit on how much water you drink before you go to sleep, and you gotta really monitor that, which is somewhat an inconvenience because I went to bed super thirsty and I was just, and for some reason Instagram probably knew that because I was getting a ton of ads for like Pepsi and Kool-Aid and stuff. But anyways, it's the morning. It's 8:30. I honestly woke up at 6 just getting on Instagram. But anyways, gonna chug this gallon of water and then go about my day. We'll see where we end up. I'm actually gonna change out into that water. So cold. I don't know about you guys, but I hate cold water. I like room temperature water, if that makes sense. Really, really cold and ice water in the morning kind of sucks. But I think it's appropriate that since it's raining quite a bit to switch to an actual rain jacket. So I'm gonna do that as well. One of the benefits of finding camp that's not secluded anywhere is you get to wake up to views like this. So but yeah, so I don't know if you guys can tell, but here's the whole sleeping setup from last night. Things are a lot better when you have a heated blanket, so that's just hooked up to the jackery back there. And then yeah, and now we're on our way. Normally I would pump this up pre my trip or get an air compressor and compress it because there's a valve here, which I do have, it's in the car, but I found that the pump is a little easier to use, the hand pump, if I just need to rinse something real quick, like brushing my teeth, and I just need to rinse the toothbrush, and then, yeah. But, yeah, I have a pump, that's all. Don't get me wrong, this isn't a permanent thing that I do where I wash my face like that. Normally I would go to the gym and shower, but this is kind of a temporary solution while I do that, which is fun because I am going home tomorrow night. But yeah, it's not super glamorous by all means. Not a lot of people, I feel like, want to talk about hygiene things when they're on the road, but yeah, so there are some plans today I want to get through. What I really want to do is get coffee from somebody that roasts it themselves, but this is why you gotta take care of your eyesight, folks. Something tells me it's gonna be raining all throughout today. I was really hoping for sunset, but it's expected here on the coast in January. It's actually starting to pour pretty hard. Let me find my glasses first. So I know I said I wanted to use the trasharoo bag, and this is me using it now. But we're gonna go down the coast a lot more, or a lot longer, so these will get much better. So if you do any sort of photography and you're along the Oregon coast, definitely check out this spot. It's called Thors Well. And what Thors Well is, it's a seamlessly a bottomless sinkhole that swallows water. And so you want to go in here probably an hour before high tide. That way you can watch the water come in and go through the hole and then essentially spit it back out. And photos that you can get here, especially during sunset, is, in my opinion, pretty sought after. And so if you ever get the chance, do check this place out. Right next to Thors Well is Spouting Horn, and Spouting Horn essentially is a ocean geyser. So incoming waves funnel seawater and air into a cave. It builds pressure until the water explodes in a geyser-like fountain, so hence Spouting Horn. It's very similar to a whale exhaling or a spout. The only thing I had yesterday was that pizza, so I'm still actually kind of hungry. And I have food packed in the fridge, so I'm gonna go and cook that. Seeing how there's no internet here, I'm just gonna watch a movie I downloaded yesterday. So it's Godzilla, and then enjoy some food with the view of the ocean. So you guys may not be able to tell, but it's incredibly windy. I mean, you probably could tell just based off the trees and probably the wind noise, but where's the sign to this place? Anyways, it's called the Cape Perpetua scenic area. You can do a lot of long exposures here along the road as cars come in and out. So it's raining slightly, so you won't be able to see much, but during the summer, the sunsets here are awesome. These are long exposures. As you see cars going by, if you have a telephoto lens, you can create a bunch of light trails here. In the summer, the sun actually sets on that side over here. Right after this, I actually started making my way back up, and this is actually how I spent my first solo trip along the Oregon coast. And there's some honorable mentions because I've always made my way back to the coast and just try to find other things to do. So if you do go along the coast, there's a lot of other things to check out. One of them is, depending on which way you take to get to the coast, you're gonna pass a waterfall called University Falls. It's out in the Tillamook State Forest. It's a somewhat of a hidden fall to get there. You are headed to the coast. It's a great detour to take. Also, the Tillamook Creamery, which is where I went to, they have some really good food there. A little bit south of Tillamook Creamery, or just in general Tillamook, the city, you're gonna pass Munson Creek Falls, one of the tallest waterfalls in Oregon. I don't know which place it fits at, but definitely do check that out. The last time I was there, though, the hike to get there was halfway closed off, so I don't think you can hike all the way to the falls, but you can hike to somewhat of a viewpoint, so it's definitely worth checking out. If you do go all the way down to where I was at, which is Devil's Punch Bowl and Thors Well and all that stuff, you're gonna pass by a waterfall called Drift Creek Falls. And if you were gonna check out any waterfall along the coast, this is probably the one to check out. There's a suspension bridge that you can walk across, and then right next to it is the waterfall. Pretty unique experience, if you ask me. It's not that long of a hike either. But yeah, those are some honorable mentions along the way. If you're headed to the coast, do check those places out. If you're into photography, great place to take photos and everything. So this wraps up the entire video of how I spent my weekend along the Oregon coast, just doing photography and some videography, and kind of just in general how I like to spend my trips. In my next video, what I really want to do is do an overlanding trip where I get to use all of my gear, or find a use case to use all of my gear. And so yeah, stay tuned for that one. All right, take care, guys.